Resilience to me means that you have to are willing to bounce back from the hardship. You are willing to bend but not break. You are willing to move forward no matter what. It's a mindset. You have to have this strong will to achieve something, and it all goes back to the why.
Welcome to Engage Presents. I'm Engage co-founder and president Jake Olson. In this interview series, I ask Engage talent the most common questions we hear from event planners to help you get to know them and their stories in 15 minutes or less. Thanks for listening. Welcome to another episode of Engage Presents. I'm Engage President Jake Olson. Alongside me today, a very special guest, a woman you might know, Magie Cook. She is the founder of Magie Salsa. She is a expert in resilience, also a Nobel Entrepreneur Prize recipient. Magie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
So, Magie, everyone I'm sure kind of knows Magie Salsa as its national brand, but take us back to when you were in college making the first batch of salsa, having your friends try it out. What was going through your head at that point? Were you ever thinking of a national brand, or was it just something that, hey, on Friday nights, let's go over to Maggie's house and have some of her salsa?
It's actually something that started when I was in the orphanage in Mexico.
Wow.
It goes back then, but I started making it. The discovery was there, but I started making it in college for my friends, and then my friends would tell my teachers, and then my teachers would have me bring it to class, and then became known as the salsa lady. So that's really how it got started.
So bring us even further back then, I guess. Talk your upbringing in the orphanages. Kind of tell us about how that maybe started your mindset of being resilient.
Yeah, I think it was a situation where you come to America and you see like a family of two, right, with two kids, two parents, or three or four, and that's normal. And to me, I thought that was normal, the life that I lived. If you think of living in a compound where there's 68 kids plus, because I have 68 brothers and sisters. My parents adopted 60 kids, and then there's eight biological, but there's 200 other kids that live there. So there's so much going on, so much stuff that happened, and a lot of adversity to overcome. And when I was about 6 years old, I dug a cave in the side of a canyon, and it became my secret hiding place where I would future cast myself into success. I would imagine that I was the super successful woman with long hair, even though I have short hair, behind a mahogany desk with heels, even though I hadn't lived outside the barbed wire fence. And so when that cave was discovered, somebody discovered it when I was 14, and I was devastated because I didn't have a place to have that solitude, that future casting place. And so I decided to venture into the mountains and go outside of the property lines for the first time. And it was very scary for me, but I was willing to be bold to do that. And
Yeah.
when I did that, I came across a little village, and they looked at me very weird. If you look at my photos, I look like Mowgli from the jungle, the Jungle Book. and I come across these peasants, and they take me in. They serve me this amazing food with taquitos de frijoles con salsa. Oh my gosh, the most delicious thing that I've ever had in my life. Because in the orphanage, we had these huge pots of boiling water with a vegetable, no salt. Like sometimes I would get an onion. That's how we lived and survived. And so I asked them, "Would you teach me how to make this so that I can go back and share it with my brothers and sisters, just so that I could see them smile?" And that's really where salsa making started.
Mm.
And then that became something that I brought with me to America. I just wanted to see people smile. And when I was in college, I graduated college, became homeless, couldn't find a job because I graduated with a degree in interior design. And back then in West Virginia, there was only two places that were interior design businesses. So I couldn't find a job. I became homeless. I was 3 months in the snow. I was living in the woods. I didn't even know I was homeless because I lived in the woods growing up in Mexico. And somebody found me from the university, talked to the president. They gave me a place to stay at the dorms. And it was about 4 or 5 weeks later, I got entered into a fresh salsa contest for the entire state of West Virginia. And I won by a unanimous vote. And that was my aha moment. And I got entered into that salsa contest because of my friends in college, because I shared it. And then I started my salsa company and it grew very, very fast. And it was a national brand, 38 states, supermarkets like Walmart, Sam's Clubs, Costco's. Whole Foods was the first one. Whole Foods was the store because when I started my company, I decided to make the long list of stores to call from the smallest to the largest, and because I was scared of making those cold calls, and the first 90 stores that I called said no, and I was very devastated. So I decided to take a break and took a day's break, and then I decided to turn that list upside down. The most courageous thing, it was Whole Foods at the top of the list, and I was like, I hope they don't answer. I hope they don't answer. And they didn't answer, and I was like, phew, and I was like, hey, my name is Maria Magdalena de la Cruz Garcia. I have an awesome pico de gallo de salsa. I think you guys would love, and I hang up. That's it. The next day they called me and they said, hey, this is Eric from Whole Foods, and I about went in my pants. He said, we want to know more of you. When can you come? And I said, when do you guys meet? And he said, tomorrow at 9 a.m. This was 6 p.m. the night before. So I went back and made salsa, drove from West Virginia to Maryland. It took me 8 hours in my little beater car. Arrived, went into this humongous distribution center with my heels and my salsa box, boxes and chips on top. And when I entered the conference room, they opened the products, they tried them, and they just went nuts. And they said, when can we have them? At that time, I was making about 250 pounds of salsa, and their first order was for 10,000 pounds of salsa. And I about went in my pants again. Well, long story short, I started my company with $800, a gift for, and I won that salsa contest. That year, when Whole Foods came along, we went from 12K to $1.9 million. And then all of those other stores that had said no started calling up. So we grew our company zero marketing dollars. And it just became this huge thing. And back then, fresh salsa was not really known. It was sort of like, when you get a new product in the market, there's a lot of resistance because people don't know about it.
Yeah.
And then it just broke through and it became such an amazing journey.
That is an amazing journey. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's
Yes.
just absolutely incredible. The amount of resilience that you have shown in your own life, and now get to share that. Let's just start kind of with what is your personal definition of resilience, if you kind of had to give one.
Resilience to me means that you are willing to bounce back from the hardship. You are willing to bend but not break. You are willing to move forward no matter what. It's a mindset. You have to have this strong will to achieve something, and it all goes back to the why. Because if you really understand and truly know what your why is, you'll be resilient no matter what. You'll be relentless. You'll be resourceful to achieve that what you want. But it has to come down to why you do what you do. And it's such a powerful thing because that could be the definition of living a very successful, fulfilling life.
Now, how do you kind of help leadership teams and in your talks kind of find that why, if you will, or recognize kind of what they're wanting to accomplish so they can find that resilience?
Yes, I go through the process of my story, and I really go from the beginning when I started, and I start with resourcefulness, and I take them through a journey, and then I go into resiliency, and then relentlessness, and then I talk about the why at the end and kind of bring it all together.
Mm.
But within those things, one of the most powerful things that I've ever done, and that I started doing when I was 6 years old, I had an epiphany. Um, is that I started writing affirmations, and I didn't know that they were that powerful. And I have done that, and I teach the audiences how to do that. I taught my organization, my own company, when I started, how to do that. I asked my team members, what's one goal that my company can help you achieve? Let's put it into an affirmation. And it just lit everybody on fire. And so I've used affirmations my entire life up until like the biggest, every success that I've ever had has been because of an affirmation, a powerful, very well structured affirmation. And the latest success from using them is 2 years ago, I was teaching a class online, and I was sharing an affirmation, how to put it together. The affirmation basically said, I'm so grateful and thankful that I'm joyously and powerfully creating working on my movie by January 5th, 2025 or something better, something like that, very, very brief. I got called on exactly that same date the next year by producers to make a movie, and we're filming. I'm flying to Mexico a couple months from now to start filming. So this is how powerful everything has been, including how Walmart came to be, how I did my affirmations, but that's just not the only thing. There's a part of future casting. There's a part of taking action. You don't just sit there and wish the things are going to come. You have to uh, take action, step into the role,
Yeah.
inspired action, and those are some of the things that I teach. And then I give them this whole takeaway, three-quarters of the way of my presentation, where they can actually download things and kind of go through um, and create their own powerful stuff. So that yeah, that's part of the stuff that I talk about. It's really really awesome.
Well, how lucky any of your employees were to be working at your company under your leadership. I have to say that. Quickly, post selling the company, you've kind of moved into service and advocacy. You mind kind of sharing just what went into that, and obviously with your background, just kind of what goes into that part of your why now.
Yes, so my company sold with Garden Fresh to Campbell's in 2015 for 231 million. And after that happened, I got a call that cartels were taking over the orphanage that I was born into. And so I flew to Mexico immediately. It was the fastest flight I've ever had. And kind of took over the orphanage. And we watched it for a month with guns, me and my brothers, until the military and the federales came. And that started a whole journey of my foundation. And now we're serving about 28 orphanages that help rescue kids from trafficking, and we do a lot more than that, but that's solely the focus, and it's truly my why because I was someone that was there. It's like life bring me back full circle. It's like a full circle moment, and I think we all have those. And but if it wasn't for the choices, and the adversity and going through what I did and becoming successful, I wouldn't have been able to help to make a difference. And I think it comes down to that bottom line because one of the things that I've come to understand is that when you pass, when you die, you don't get to take anything with you. You get to take what you did, what the impact that you created in the world.
Maggie, you are making quite the impact, and we're honored to be able to help you do that and support you in doing that. If you want to learn more about Maggie's story, obviously tell her story even more than what the brief note messages we got today, which absolutely I do. You can visit letsengage.com, check out our profile, book her there, obviously. But Maggie, cannot say it enough. And mean it enough that you really are a difference maker in this world. We really appreciate just who you are, what you've done. God bless you and just continue success in your why, because it's just really inspiring. So thank you for being you.
Thank you. Thank you for being you. Your story. Oh my gosh, I was in tears.
Oh,
I your resiliency and overcoming adversity and wow. I mean, you're quite amazing too. So thank you.
yeah, well, I definitely resonate with pretty much everything you say. So we're right there together. So appreciate it. Stay tuned for more Engage Presents. And again, thank you, Maggie, for just giving us an uplifting message today.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.